It's good to be back, and with Milosz this time. I believe this is the first time we've had Milosz on the Team Hangout, and it might be the first time you guys also see Milosz, right? Is that correct, Milosz? I'm not sure if
I think so. Yeah. Yes. Definitely. Yeah.
Very exciting.
My first time. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very happy to have you on. I know. I remember since the very beginning when I first joined Dusk, I kept hearing in chats, about the legendary Milosz who was doing some great work on GitHub in the different PRs and issues on there. And I think a lot of the community really likes you and the work that you're doing. So this is a perfect opportunity for them to get to know you a little bit more.
Thank you so much. I mean, that's so nice to hear.
Yeah,
I'm also looking forward to it. Mm-hmm.
Sweet. Well, first of, before we get into the juicier questions, maybe you can give us a little introduction about yourself. I know a lot of people already know who you are, and you have a very vast experience in being, a developer and a software engineer prior to Dusk as well. So maybe you can give us a little idea and introduction into what you've done prior to Dusk and what you do right now at Dusk, and then we can get into the little details as well.
Yeah, I mean, I studied computer science, and at the end of my study, kind of the final years, my school got involved in creating a microcomputer for schools, which at the time was like a big deal. And that was basically some students were involved in creating software, and it was at that time that I basically created software first time, which was supposed to be good because it was burned on the ROM of the computer, and or it was published as a standard software for this computer. So that's how it started, and then basically, this was in C language, and then basically these computer languages kind of mapped my life in a sense, because I started to be, it was a big deal at the time, the C++ came out, so I was a long time C++ programmer, and then Java, then Scala, and initially it was like various industries like telecoms, but then it stabilized in banks, like in banking. So that's how I kind of am closer to finance and investment banking, etc. So I kind of felt the way things are done in the banking, and when in about 2011, I first heard about Bitcoin. It was like a big revolution in my life, and so that's I became very interested initially, just only as a hobby, and then at some point I decided, okay, enough banking. I made 1 year of sabbatical. During this 1 year, I was kind of doing something about blockchain for myself. And then it came to Dusk. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm curious if you can you share a little bit about what you were doing on your as a hobby for yourself in blockchain?
As a hobby, I mean, I wanted to get my feet wet during this time, and so basically I was developing Electrum personal server for Electrum wallet, Bitcoin wallet, and then also a version of basically the wallet from scratch, which was capable of doing the freezing of Bitcoin. So basically, I was into Bitcoin, C++, libraries for Bitcoin, and this kind of stuff.
It's very interesting. And sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, mostly to gain experience, but also I wanted to really use it. But then I realized that alone is really hard to push something. And then it's just, my basically goal was to be in the industry, to really join the industry from being a developer in banks, like to be really in a blockchain industry. So that was my kind of dream for a while, and then Dusk kind of realized this dream for me. So
That's very exciting. So you're really trying to find a product or solution that's really practical and can be used to can have practical use cases in the real world. And then you realize that it's quite hard to do this alone, of course. I'm also curious what made you, what was the main motivator to change from the traditional finance world to getting into blockchain? Did you have enough of all the traditional, bureaucracy, or is it more related to the actual code and the difference in how you code as a developer, or what was the main motivator?
I was after many years of Java, I was kind of really my kind of first revolution was to move to Scala, because Scala was just so much it was function oriented and also basically much more abstract, and then it was very interesting to me at the time. And so I was kind of lucky to work in Scala for banks, but then I saw it was interesting, but it was very I saw the inefficiencies, lots of silos, lots of basically systems. The diagrams were very complex, or the systems were very complex, and also the entities have no everything was wrapped or represented by something or referenced by something. There was no concept of a native presence in the digital world. That was the approach was kind of constant delegation, intermediation, etc. So I was I felt it kind of instinctively that it's kind of not an optimal way, that it shouldn't be like this. And when I saw then Bitcoin architecture, then I kind of realized that this is possible. This on so many dimensions. It struck me with its ingenuity. Then I felt this is this is the way, this is the future. So after some hobby activities, I decided I need to go for it full time.
Yeah.
And so in a way it was. Scala is very challenging and it's very interesting from a program point of view, but not this kind of the whole paradigm is a bit suboptimal, I would say.
No, I love that. I love that, and I can relate to the motivation of being part of this vision of blockchain that has so much possibility, and everything is much more advanced and forward looking into what you're doing, and less restrictions. That's also one of the motivators that attracted me to blockchain as well. So that's really cool. And how did you first find out about Dusk, and what attracted you? What made you want to join the Dusk team in comparison to anything other teams out there?
Mm-hmm. I started looking, realizing that I really want to join the industry. I started looking, and I was kind of looking into some use case for altcoins, because initially I was not convinced that altcoins are needed at all, because I was into Bitcoin, and then why altcoins? Right. And then I really got convinced by the argument by the Dusk vision, the privacy, which is needed not only for the privacy sake, but also as a common sense case and business case for institutions to really use blockchain. So I saw, this is something that really Bitcoin doesn't have. And this is and this vision of also being compliant, being regulated. So that was very compelling to me. And on top of that, the Dusk contained a research team which was involved in ZK and doing actual ZK research. So that was like a cherry of the cake, on the top of the cake. So and how did I come across. I was kind of on the lookout, and I was lucky just to come across Dusk. And after seeing what Dusk is doing, I really got very excited and was very happy to be able to convince my Dusk interviewers to accept me. So it was until today I feel it was a great opportunity.
Yeah. I mean, it was I guess fate, but yeah, I think we're lucky to have you as part of the team, and the community has seen all the great work that you've done, and especially. So how many years have you been at Dusk so far?
It's now 4 years.
Going on 4 years. Wow,
four interesting years.
Yeah, I can imagine a lot has been going on, and you've worked on so many different parts of Dusk. How has it been to work on such novelty tech and over the past years, and maybe what was some of the highlights of the past 4 years for you?
Yeah, I mean, it was during my gap year. I tried to use Scala for crypto things, and I realized, okay, Scala is really not the language for it. So the Rust language was like, first of all, that was the novelty for me, and so much of crypto was new. Also the privacy and ZK concepts, like there was a WebAssembly language. I mean, there was so much to learn, so it was extremely exciting. Yeah, and also virtual machines for crypto. I mean, until before joining Dusk, I only knew the Bitcoin script as a smart contract language, or quasi-smart contract. So this was I didn't know Solidity or didn't know much of Ethereum ecosystem. So all this was very new to me. I mean, especially also getting fit wet in cryptography and zero knowledge and all these concepts. So that was very new. Initially, I was working on virtual machine part. Initially, it was called DuskEVM, what is now called PyCrust, or
right.
part of DuskDS at the moment. So that was I was working also on the state persistence for it, and then I was doing various things like economic protocol, and also deployment system, deployment tool, and now I mean, so many interesting things. Also the Citadel system, which was based on zero knowledge identity. Basically, it was identity system. And then my final current activity is the DuskEVM, like also extremely exciting.
Of course,
especially that it involves learning. Like I am translating the Solidity contracts into Dusk smart contract format, or programming the RPC proxy, which is for a change in a Go language, which is also very interesting. So
I assume this was working on DuskEVM now. It was one of the first times you worked with Solidity as well, right?
Yes. I didn't know Solidity, and I needed it only as a read only, basically to translate it into our Dusk smart contracts, which are based on Rust and WebAssembly. But yeah. I mean, there is so much to it. I mean, even like when you take Bitcoin into account, like there's so much because there is like a monetary aspect of it, and there is a cryptographic aspect, the mathematical aspect, and like ZK aspect, so and also the distributed and server side aspect of it, and also the language aspect. Like crypto is using languages mostly like Rust and Go, basically, and this was like also a big revolution for me because Rust has extremely good tooling, and they say Rust programmers are the happiest programmers, and there is something to it because the tooling is really excellent for Rust, and Rust programmer, I think, cries probably less than other languages, but on the other hand, it's like so extremely complex language and very deep, so you can learn it like for a very long time. But yeah, so there's a lot to do, and it's also nice that there is this vision of that Dusk has, which is has something optimistic in it, in the sense that like really makes it motivated.
Yeah. And actually, regarding to what you mentioned, Hein actually had a question. He added it in there in the last minute, but we have it in here, and since it's relevant, we can just ask it now. But he was asking, Milosz, you've been working on DuskEVM, particularly on the RPC proxy that translates information between DuskDS and DuskEVM. Where do you see the biggest challenges? For example, are the tricky parts with data formats or the variety of calls involved in mapping them between DuskDS and DuskEVM?
I think I think it is the challenges are not that big. Like I would say the challenges are in really making it work and in testing. But RPC is very well documented from the Ethereum side, and it is basically the foundation of it is kind of laid out, and like at the moment, like even today, it's like the challenge is to basically to make the servers talking to each other, and also to basically calculate correctly the Bloom filters and checksums, etc. So it's like, but it's hard to nail down to me what is it all seems easy and difficult at the same time, because it's like kind of everything is like doable, but it is challenging in the sense that it has to work, talk to each other, and it has to like match the formats. And there is a little challenge with the Go language, which I don't know, but I'm starting to liking it, because it's a very, very, very efficient and pleasant language. Yeah.
Nice. Hein says that's a good summary of life itself. Couldn't agree more. Well, since you are involved in DuskEVM a bit, I'm not sure if you have visibility on the other aspects of DuskEVM, but is there any update you can give us on DuskEVM, or at least on what you're working on, if you don't have visibility on the overall progress?
Yeah, I think it is in a, I would say, final stage. It is being tested, and it's kind of ready. What we are doing is we are kind of finishing up the last incompatibilities as far as RPC services is concerned. So it is, but it is like a tiny details missing, because the approach is more or less that we have L1 layer 1 contracts, which normally in Optimism they are on Ethereum, and they basically belong to Optimism, but but they are run on Ethereum, and we provide equivalents of them running on Dusk as Dusk smart contracts on L1, DuskDS as L1. That's one layer, and the other is RPC proxy, which is kind of pretending to be Ethereum for the optimism. So basically, it's a compatibility layer, which is using Dusk APIs and Dusk node to provide information which is compatible with Ethereum. So it has to create like some objects on the fly, and so that they can be treated as Ethereum objects and have all proper checksums, etc. So that's but this is all done. It's like now it's a testing stage and finishing after like this one thing API that is being kind of tested as we speak and improved as we speak. So I would say it's very close.
Very nice. I heard there's a lot of testing going on and a lot of bugs being squished, especially recently, and now it's mainly in the final testing phases, which is very exciting to hear.
Yes, it's a lot of moving parts as by definition, and these parts basically they all create logs, and these logs we analyze and see if check basically it runs, but the issue is that it really runs reliably and for a long time, etc. And the use cases are getting more and more complex that are being tested. So that's
perfect.
That's the work in progress. Yeah.
Thank you, Milosz, for the little update on that. We have a couple more questions from the community. The first one is, as an engineer myself, I find AI coding assistants like Cursor and Copilot really useful in certain cases. I was wondering, does your team make use of tools like this in your development workflow? If so, how do they help speed up or improve the project?
At the moment, we are at the stage that using of it is kind of, we decided we really want to use it and it is encouraged, but it's like, we don't use it at the team level. Like it's every developer uses these tools for himself or herself, and we try not to create black boxes so that the AI creates code which we don't know how it works. I mean, it happened to us probably a few times that we had some code and it turned out funnily that nobody really knew how it works because it was written by AI. But it's a really exceptional situation. I think normally for example, I am using it for as a consulting, or basically instead of not going to Stack Overflow anymore, but just much better advice from AI, or maybe AI is much better to find alternatives, is there a better way than this? Or find me how many ways of doing this there are. I mean, this is much quicker and it's much more efficient with AI to analyze can this be done better? So we use it, I think, a lot, but it's still our code, and it's on advisory basis, I would say. And it's very rare that we have some blocks of code written fully by AI, and the maximum is probably just basically snippets or fragments, and of course advice. It's invaluable advice for its speed, but it's probably not maximum that would be possible these days. Like we could have it hooked up more extensively, but that's not the case, unless I don't know something, but at least that's my impression.
Makes sense.
That's how we use it.
No, makes sense. And I mean, I would assume, especially with having a complex infrastructure like DuskDS, it would be, and the connection between DuskEVM. Of course, DuskEVM is based on optimism, but still they are quite complex system and it's quite hard. From what I hear, I don't have experience personally, but I hear, AI kind of hallucinates when there's this sort of complex system, when it interacts or tries to figure out new sort of ideas, and it does well when it's working with much simpler or already created solutions in a way. So you kind of use it more so as a rubber duck and advisory, right?
Yeah. It's probably not from some AI purist. It's not the correct way to use AI, but I think it's. But I think also, like for example, with AI, when you ask it about optimism, it really mixes up often the versions of optimism, and so it's not only hallucinating, but sometimes it's doing the right thing, but you don't know which. It's probably focused on the old versions or something, and then the next question is based on new version, and basically this is very hard. I mean, this is a really big obstacle to rely on it, because we need everything focus on particular version, and so it needs to be like a rock solid this knowledge. So that's why it's still, I believe in a near future will be probably working perfectly, but it's still the case. But in simpler cases, it's invaluable.
Speeds up the workflow quite a lot in certain use cases. Makes sense. Okay, that's good to hear that the team is still using AI in some sort of way. Just so especially with the new wave of AI, it feels like if you're not using it in some sort of way, you are going to be left behind. So it's great to hear that we're implementing it in steps, I would say.
And also, let's say if I had to program in a Go language, which I don't know, and then it's really true, thanks to AI, I can really program quite quickly with because it just solves all my problems so quickly that it's really like in a language that you less know or don't know, it's really valuable.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Thank you for the insight, Milosz. The next question is around, let's see. How does the addition of DuskEVM impact the economic protocol? If you know or can share anything about that.
Like by economic protocol, I understand the features like, for example, prepaid transactions or contracts pays for gas or such elements. This is something that we want to develop on L1, and it was relatively hard to develop it because of the specifics of our L1, in the sense nothing I mean nothing wrong with it, but it's just for example, prepaid transactions and or contracts earns fee, etc. It is very hard to do at a low level of because it takes introducing exceptions at the low level, and it's kind of mixing the application level with the technical infrastructure level. So that's why introducing DuskEVM can make it much more palatable and much more practical to implement these elements. So it's invaluable, I would say. And I think it is optimal to divide better the stack to application level and just technical level, and it's kind of comes in a natural way. Like the DuskEVM is really the application level from our point of view, and also it leverages Solidity and basically the prevalence of the standards that are now basically like in lingua franca of DeFi, etc. So and this whole ecosystem. So that's much easier to implement at this level. And then to use the basically advantages and upsides of the low level of the L1 that we have, and so that's like a more proper use of our stack, I would say.
Right.
And this is extremely important, I think, for business cases. Extremely important that the user, for example, has things prepaid that the user doesn't need to have some, let's say, some particular crypto in order to start doing business, or some tokens in order to start something that has, or earning fee for contracts, of course, is also an extremely important incentive for contract writers and for the whole ecosystem that's growing on a particular platform. So yeah.
Right, yeah. I mean, of course, the user experience of not having to deal with the actual infra behind the scenes to actually pay for each single, maybe for the smaller transactions or smaller actions, it does make the experience much more smoother and user-friendly. Yeah.
Or especially upfront, because in time the user may have the patience to kind of acquire some tokens, etc., to try things or to initialize, to onboard, especially onboarding. That's very, very important too.
Yeah, 100%. The next question is, let's see. So we got a couple of new questions here in the AMA channel. It says, in the past, it was tricky to make contract calls with data from any other language than Rust due to a dependency on RKYV. Does the new data driver simplify it? Example, to call a DApp running on DuskDS from Python, JavaScript, or Kotlin? I hope I pronounced that correct.
Yes, exactly. The data drivers, absolutely solve this issue. So basically, archive format is required by smart contracts, by our Dusk smart contracts, because they are Rust compatible. I mean, they work on OS, WebAssembly, but they are at the moment mostly written in Rust, and they accept the archive format. The serialization of arguments using their archive library. And but we have a concept and support for data drivers. So every contract can write very simple so-called data drivers. Data drivers is like very simple piece of code which when can be uploaded along with a contract, and then these data drivers they are supported also automatically in some cases, for example, for queries. But for calls, they can be called from JavaScript from any language, including Rust also, but from any language which supports basically the C bindings, and it's much simpler than archive, and it's seamless from JavaScript, for example. So yes, that's possible, and Rask node supports now the upload of the driver, and also makes the calls to the uploaded driver dynamically as well for queries, and in some cases, that's
okay. That's very good to know. Yeah, thank you, Milosz. Okay, I think that answers that question quite well. The next one is, if a dev is interested in building something on Dusk, example, using some privacy-preserving features not easily available elsewhere, is the initial choice whether to do so on DuskDS or DuskEVM, or are the two layers connected in a way that would allow external devs to build a dApp that spans across both in a meaningful way?
A lot can be done on basically a lot can be done on DuskEVM. So for example, our system header is completely workable, and it's done fully on DuskEVM, and it is has a really nice privacy features. But it is semi-private, so this has some limits, and we have in DuskDS, we are not by introducing DuskEVM, we are not abandoning the nice privacy features of DuskDS. And so, for example, like a full zero knowledge support and fully private transfers between I mean the not accounts, but I forgot. Yeah, so it may be to implement privacy. It may be beneficial to turn into to layer 1 and start cooperating with it. But I think it's for the harder cases. For example, if it has to be heavily obfuscated, and so I think with privacy, it's I mean, when we want the full privacy, of course, this gives problems with regulators. But if someone wants full privacy, it is possible to implement it on DuskEVM, but it is also maybe beneficial to just leverage what's available on DuskDS, especially that DuskDS also has a smart contract virtual machine, and writing smart contracts is quite easy. It's not as easy as Solidity, but it is possible and, in my opinion, easy. And so these privacy features can be leveraged. But I would say it's probably for more advanced authors or users, and some things just work on DuskDS, like transfer, so it can be leveraged in this way. But probably lots of use cases can be realized on DuskEVM.
I would assume so, yeah, I guess. And Marta does add here that was correct. In Hedger, amounts are hidden, but the sender-recipient addresses are public, which keeps a nice balance between privacy and efficiency. So that means that,
exactly.
Yeah, like you mentioned as well, DuskEVM would probably be good enough in terms of privacy for most of the use cases. But if you're really hardcore into privacy and need a specific, very niche use case, I assume you can always use DuskDS as well. And
and I think Hedger is an example of basically leveraging the experience, leveraging the Zedger and the experience that we have on layer 1, and so it's also kind of like a knowledge transfer. So technically it is now layer 2, but it was tested and kind of proved on layer 1. So it's also this kind of leverage of this layer 1, basically this time of gaining experience in these mechanisms. But yeah, I agree with what Marta said. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, the header also nicely leverages the homomorphic encryption, and that's really cool.
Yeah, very cool. Both systems are. I can see there is a question in chat from Saurabh. He's saying, nice to have you on the AMA, Milosz. You've seen Dusk evolve through several pivots over the last 4 years. Looking back, how did you perceive those shifts, and how do you think they've set us up for this more defined path now? And any more pivots that you see happening? I think someone did answer that. There's probably no pivots in the near future that we are planning, which is good. But I'm curious to get your answer on that as well, Milosz.
Yeah, there are several turns, and I think it was just learning. They were probably necessary because we were all learning and learning also as a company. Also with initial virtual machine, we did it we approached it like three times to get it right, and these particular approaches, I think the whole industry evolves. And it was not known before which standards, what will become so prevalent and what will become sensible in the long term. So yeah, there were several turns on a way, but I think they were necessary. But I am quite happy with the current situation, and I hope now it is a longer time of stability and pursuing like a stable goal compared to the past. I think what we already are doing and what we will be doing it's like a longer piece of a straight road to cross. Especially the industry also stabilizes. Like this. I mean, DeFi really matures, and this is more probably seems more obvious now than it was in the past. It was not that obvious that things will take this direction. So, yeah. As I said, it was like individual learning and also company learning, also industry learning.
That makes that makes a lot of sense, and I agree with that. And it's good that we have a we have a very clear goal at the moment. So it seems that this is going to be quite stable, and it's quite exciting to think about.
But on the other hand, On the other hand, this is still kind of, I mean, we are in agreement with initial vision, because the initial vision was to provide a true ownership and true control and disintermediation for financial securities, financial instruments, and that basically this vision is still valid, and it was valid all the time. Yeah, it's like only the question of how to get to it technically that it kind of changes.
Right.
But in this regard, it is stable what we are doing, but just practicalities and technicalities and how to do it technologically, that differs.
Yeah.
But I think we are on a good path.
Sweet. Of course, the overall macro vision is still there to remove the inefficiencies of traditional blockchain and get to, of course, native issuance where we can natively issue, settle, and trade securities and financial instruments directly on blockchain. That's going to be so exciting. I hear from Ryan that we're very close to finalizing the application as well for the DLT TSS license. So that should happen very, 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 very soon. And then it's just us waiting for the regulators to come back with an answer and approve it, which at least, that's in their hands from then on. But I'm very, very excited about what's coming up. Well, I have two more questions for you. I guess one of them we kind of got into it a little bit, but the first one is, so as we have discussed, and you've already explained, you have a ton of developer experience, and I think there's a lot of wisdom that new developers could learn from you. Is there, if you could give an advice to developers, because I know there's a bunch of developers in the community who want to create something on Dusk or work on a blockchain infra like Dusk, what would that advice be?
I think development for blockchain infrastructure has to some extent has some parts which are kind of the same as developing every good infrastructure, basically, or every server-side infrastructure. I mean, it has to be really well tested and done according to software engineering kind of principles, etc. So every like good deeper experience on server side is helpful, but also the right choosing the right languages, of course, matters. I think that some languages are better suited for crypto and than the others, and because languages are some of them at least are quite hard and take years to learn. So it is kind of probably important to kind of invest time in languages like Rust or Go or WebAssembly, in the sense that WebAssembly, there's no need to learn WebAssembly, but how to deal with that WebAssembly or how to compile to it, etc., how to use it. So that I think that matters in on the side of blockchain infrastructure projects, and also I think it is good to be enthusiastic and be a user of blockchain. Like privately, like it probably helps to be a user of the ecosystem, not as a developer, and also of course I think cryptography, like some knowledge of cryptography and knowledge of mathematics part, like number theory or abstract algebra or something, anything. Helps because it makes it easier to kind of understand technologies like zero knowledge or homomorphic encryption, etc. So yeah, it's a like a big stack in crypto projects, but I think I would say if I would have to say number one, it's like it's the language, like it's the languages and like Rust that are really needed. That's like a foundation of it.
Yeah, that's a perfect checklist for people to have. And the last question I have for you is, looking ahead, what excites you the most about the future of Dusk?
What excites me is really like we are on the verge of DuskEVM, and so it excites me that this compatibility and so that the stream of applications will be open and will be using our blockchain, and also the cooperation with NPEX. So that's really great synergy that we have this regulated and under control stock exchange, which will provide kind of let's say traffic or applications on the real use cases for DuskEVM. So that's like I don't know, building, like I feel like we are kind of building a car, and this car starts going very soon, like the engine will start, and in the sense that it will start. I mean, it is going. This engine works, but it is like I would say the real use cases for it are very very exciting, and also like that we can, for example, decrease the settlement time on for Optimism, basically transactions, and make it regulatory compliant, so really gain advantage over let's say regular Optimism, or so, because it's like so these practical cases that excites me in a sense that there will be actual benefit, that there will be actual traffic, actual benefit, and it is kind of. It would be nice even like without NPEX, but NPEX makes it even more exciting, because
the cherry on cake, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that the regulations are so advanced, like regarding the NPEX. And I think in the long run, in blockchain in general and in financial applications, it matters to be regulated and to have this reasonable approach to privacy. So not to make everything private, but the private is partial and private is information is auditable, and agreeing with regulations. I mean, in the long run, this will survive. These kind of systems will survive and will serve their purpose. So I am looking really forward to this stage. Although I am a technologist and I am kind of very happy to be at the technological level, but I'm happy when this technology is really put into use. But of course, there are also resources of joy at the technological level, like the possibility of building systems like similar to Hedger, like also possibility of deploying like even on EVM, on DuskEVM, and also leveraging that we have a control and we have experience, maybe not control, but we have experience and knowledge about what's on L1. So this L1 is open to us, unlike Ethereum L1, which is like huge and very complex, and at least for us, it's much more complex than our own L1. So that really opens the gates, I would say, to interesting developments. So
yeah, so it seems there's so many exciting aspects on so many different factors, from the product to the tech and behind the scenes, and there's still so many opportunities for you guys to still learn and put in practice everything and still keep it exciting, even in the back end, as well as seeing everything in action with NPEX, with DuskEVM and stocks coming up. It's going to be the car is going to be fully assembled very soon, and we can use more than the second gear. We can go in the fifth gear very soon. So that's going to be very exciting. Awesome.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's the last question that I have for you, Milosz. It seems that there's no more questions from the community, but I had a lot of fun having this chat with you and learning more about what you do, a little bit more about yourself, your time with Dusk, and your expectations for what's coming up. This was very insightful chat and call. And yeah, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to be here. Thank you for everyone in the audience, and thank you for the great questions, guys. And yeah, I'll leave it to you to give any last thoughts before we're closing it up.
Yeah, I mean, so let's keep it up and see. I would say, okay, let's be excited, and we are at exceptional time at our company. It is close. It is exciting. Yeah, let's keep it up. And it's such an interesting area. I think this the blockchain ecosystem in general. So there's always something very interesting to do, and so yeah. I'm glad that we are at this position that we are now at this moment. So thank you. Yeah.
No, thank you for all the great work you guys have been doing for the past 6 years plus. So yeah, it's gonna be exciting for you, especially for you guys, since you've been there in the back end, putting in all the sweated years and making sure it's all good and ready. So yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much again, guys, and we'll see you in the next one next week. With most probably Manuel is going to join us next Thursday, same time Thursday, and yeah, have a great rest of your day, everyone, and thank you again, Milosz. Have a good one.
Thank you. Okay.